Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this live debate hosted and coordinated jointly by Radio Islam International and Radio Al-Ansar International, which is being broadcasted simultaneously on Radio Al-Ansar, Voice of the Cape, and IFM Port Elizabeth, and also on ITV Networks Channel 347 on DSTV. My name is Yunus Sekur from Radio Al-Ansar International, and with us we have Maulana Suleiman Rawat. He's on my right. We have also staff from Al-Ansar and Radio Islam behind us and around us. We are a few days away from the local government elections, and we have present this evening a panel of experienced politicians representing various political parties sharing their views and expertise with us. On 1 November, millions of South Africans will vote for their municipal candidates. Both the ANC and the DA face possibility of losing votes to smaller parties. I hope you're listening carefully. But in their own head-to-head clashes, some rather interesting battlegrounds are popping up on the map. And eThekwini may just be the biggest scrap of the lot. That is, this is polling from research that is forecasting major collapse in ANC votes and a surge in DA votes. That's what the polling is saying. As it stands, polling is saying that the ANC may secure 31% of the ballot of eThekwini, and I'm sure the ANC councillors and supporters here may have a different view, but recent survey results that are coming out just today reveals otherwise. The ANC is still around the 51% mark and DA is well below 30%. So I think you candidates may contest that. Just as a means of introduction, I would like to introduce our candidates that are present, or our political reps that are present here this evening. On the far right, we have Brandon Pillay from the African National Congress. Brandon, good evening and welcome to this live debate this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sakur.
Okay, and we're pleased to have you here. Then we have Jonathan Anupan. He's replacing Mr. Naren Singh, who couldn't make it this evening. He's a candidate for Phoenix. Good evening, Jonathan, and welcome to this live debate.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here. We are delighted to be at the debate.
Pleasure. Then we have from the Democratic Alliance, Hussein Hanif. He's a senior politician that's been around for quite a while. I remember him as a councillor of eThekwini municipality. Hussein Hanif, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this live debate.
For the opportunity. It really is a pleasure to be back again. And thank you. We look forward to an exciting debate. It's good to see you again. And make sure you tell everybody to vote for the DA as well, all right?
It's a pleasure. The representative from the EFF, Babalwa Machulewa, hasn't arrived. We hope she arrives later. I'm not sure whether the EFF is scared to come and join us today, but we hope they can join us later. Okay, then we have Imtiaz Sayed. Imtiaz Sayed is a civic... Imtiaz Sayed is a popular civic activist in the Durban area, and he's formed a party called ACC, Active Citizens Coalition. Welcome, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Imtiaz, and welcome to the live debate.
Jazakallah for the opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased to have you all attending this live debate, and we hope that we'll have an informative and vibrant debate this evening. Brother Maulana Suleiman Rawat will go through some of the house rules and then explain the process of today's debate. Maulana.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. It is a debate, so we don't expect you to be silent. This is not a school hall. This is a debate hall. But that said, we have come here tonight, those of us in attendance and the listeners and the viewers, to hear what the panelists have got to say in terms of answers to our questions and, more importantly, to your questions. So let our appreciation of their comments or our lack thereof not overwhelm them, so that we and the listeners and the viewers don't get to hear what they've got to say, because that would defeat the purpose. Also, this is a debate, so we're not going to be giving, soft questions. It's going to be debate-like questions. Nothing is personal. I think we all like each other. We all get along very well. So you need to show confidence in your representative's ability to answer the questions that are posed at them, even if you feel that the question is not one that you like. But that's the nature of a debate. So it's simple as that. Let's keep safe. We know we are still in the pandemic. We're not out of it. Let's listen, let it be robust, let it be engaging, somewhat entertaining as well. That's the nature of debates. But most importantly, let's give them a fair opportunity to express themselves without being, heckled or without being subdued in terms of the voice coming from the crowd. And then each one of us can make up our own minds. The format, we'll start with a round of 90 seconds per candidate, or rather per representative, where they will speak about why you should vote for them. Simple. And it's up to them what they want to say. The second round, Mr. Sakur will ask each of the representatives a question, and they'll have 60 seconds to respond. We have to keep it timeous, right? And try and be as fair as possible. Then there'll be a third round where I'll get to ask questions. The fourth round is an interesting one, where they'll get to ask each other questions. So you get your questions ready as well. You can choose who you're going to ask and what you're going to ask. I just hope they're all not going to hone in their questions at one candidate or one representative. Then we come to the floor, and Mr. Sakur and Maulana Junaid Karsani will facilitate the questions from the floor, and we hope that your questions will be robust and engaging, and will bring to the fore what the attendees, the viewers, and the listeners want to hear this evening. So thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to all of those who have attended, all those who are for the discussion this evening.
Shukran for those house rules, Maulana. Before I ask the parties to introduce what they are offering South Africans, I want to mention that upcoming elections in South Africa to be one of the most contested. This is what the IEC is saying. And they're further saying that, the elections will see millions of South Africans going to vote. Local government leaders will represent them in approximately 257 municipalities. But we're dealing locally with predominantly two big municipalities. That's eThekwini, which has 111 wards with probably more than 200 candidates, and Msunduzi municipality. Those are two big ones. So I presume those that are present here are contesting those wards, unless we've got people from other wards here or other municipalities also present here this evening. But we're going live throughout the country, so we will be talking generally about other provinces as well. Just to say, on account of the number of candidates and political parties, this election is highly contested. There are 95,427 candidates who qualify to take part in this election. Comparing to the 60,000 that were contesting in the previous election, so there's 30,000 more candidates. Yeah. So let's commence the question, because we want to offer the public an opportunity to ask questions later. So without much ado, I'd like to commence with the African National Congress. The parties, basically, if you can just tell the floor, what you are offering to South Africans, it's more like a warmer for you, so that you can, probably start talking, Brandon.
Warm greetings to the audience, listeners, and my fellow panelists, hosts. We are led and deeply motivated by our President Cyril Ramaphosa, who put it very clear at the launch of the manifesto when he said, our people want a local government to deliver services that they need and support local businesses that provides jobs and livelihoods. This must be a critical and new emphasis in the next term. The ANC has the will, might, capacity, capability, skill, acumen, experience, and expertise of local government. Our people want protection against crime. South Africans want regular supply of water, electricity, sanitation, and refuse removal. Simple things. It's no doubt that in recent times, we have faced many hardships, and now, more than ever, we need leaders and councillors to put the needs and interests of the people first. To achieve this, we are committing to a united, renewed, and revitalized ANC. Our priorities are to unite our people, fight corruption, build a capable and ethical state, and very importantly, to grow the economy exponentially, to create the jobs and generate the revenue we need to serve our people's needs. We don't make promises. We make a solemn pledge to our people to do better and to do more, to build better local government, to deliver basic services. The ANC is the party with the power to govern. Thank you.
Time to wake up.
You had much more to say, but we'll sort of keep that to later. Jonathan, what is the IFP offering South Africans?
Thank you. Good evening to the listeners, to the viewers here, to the audience here, and to the viewers who are watching. Local government in South Africa has been marred by corruption, maladministration, poor service delivery, lack of accountability from government, and a sheer disregard for South African citizens. For the almost 2 decades that the IFP governed the KwaZulu government, we built schools, quality houses, and a strong healthcare system. For 10 years into democracy, when the IFP ran KwaZulu-Natal, not a single incident of corruption, maladministration, or any indictment was made against any of our members of parliament, our ministers, or our party. None of our members were brought into disrepute. What we are offering the electorate in this election is what we have always offered them: integrity, servant leadership, and a commitment to put the people first. Not steal from the state, but rather a pledge to make local government work for the people. This election is not just about potholes and tree felling. It's about trust, accountability, and protecting our constitutional democracy. It is about ensuring that those who defraud the state, and by extension its citizens, are behind bars and not in our council. This is what the IFP promises.
Hanif, what is the DA offering to South Africans beside criticizing the ANC all the time?
The real better life. That's what we're offering. The real better life. Firstly, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to your listeners. Let me just say this, Yunus. The fact remains is that for the last 27 years, all of us in this hall, outside there in South Africa, have suffered under ANC rule, and that's a fact. Life's gotten much worse over the last 27 years. Things have, I'll tell you, just listen. Your electricity, water account, every single thing has gone up, but the quality of services has gone down. Crime, corruption, maladministration, every single government department that you walk into is falling apart. South Africa is definitely moving in the wrong direction. Now, by comparison, let's compare that with DA-run municipalities. And this is a track record. I'm not telling you stuff that some of the other parties are going to dream about. I'm telling you about stuff that we've done already. In every single municipality where the DA has taken over from the ANC, we've turned the situation around. I'm going to give you a whole lot of examples as we go along. But one example, just one example. Right? You know, a small town like Oudtshoorn, we took over that municipality from the ANC, 110 million rand in the red, deficit, bankrupt. Within 5 years, the DA turned that into 117 million rand surplus. And how did we do that? We simply didn't steal the money. We put it to work where it matters, and that's how we get things done.
Time is up. Thank you, Hanif. Imtiaz Sayed from the ACC. I know you're a new party in the bloc, but you got a lot to offer. Let's hear it.
So for us, it's the simple things. I mean, everyone sitting next to me right now are seasoned politicians. And they sit here and they complain about 27 years, really? Where were you 27 years? What were you doing for the 27 years? We in eThekwini at the moment. So by design, eThekwini is ours. Active Citizens Coalition is only running within eThekwini municipality. By design. Why? This is local government elections. Let's not talk about hospitals and schools and all of that. That's for different government departments. Right now, this is local government. People need simple things. Clean our streets. Clean up. We drove in here with no lights. What affects our people? And the only place service deliveries really is here, in local government, where you get services. Not at provincial and not at national level. Now, the problem with every single other party is that they want power. They're struggling for power. Everyone sitting next to me is struggling for power. They'll put in, and I'll give you an example, 2016, we had some good councillors within the DA. As soon as it came to 2019, they dropped the people and ran to the legislator. What is going on? What are they doing? It's at local government that we need service delivery, not anywhere else. So by design, ACC is running only in eThekwini as a proof of concept. Let's get it right in its small places and its small spaces, and then move to bigger things. Thank you.
Thank you, Imtiaz. I think you got a lot of support on the floor. Right, now we come to the real questions. To the ANC, Brandon, your president mentioned that, in his manifesto, there was a mixture of repentance and commitments. And we know why he was repenting and why he's now making commitments. The president promised his government would significantly increase the role of renewable energy load shedding at the moment, so I'm not sure how that's going to help. The NC also pledged more hectares of land to citizens, saying that it will continue to upgrade informal settlements. And back in the days, we have informal settlements that are increasing, and to date, there's more than 400,000 people living in informal settlements, and this is increasing, by the month. In terms of the manifesto, there's been a lot of promises made by a lot of parties, including the ANC. But the question I have for you, Brandon, is that the ANC has been the ruling party for eThekwini municipality and Msunduzi for the last 3 elections. Service delivery has gradually declined, and in the last few years, the municipality has been fraught with corruption and maladministration, and this has been exacerbated by a drastic decline in service delivery as a result of lack of maintenance of infrastructure, which has resulted in huge water losses, costing the ratepayer hundreds of millions of rands. I don't want to make it more difficult by going through any other issues here, but what I want to raise with you, service delivery has been compromised, and this is the criticism that has been leveled countrywide and internationally. Given the situation, do you believe that you will win sufficient votes to again lead these municipalities? If so, how do you plan to improve service delivery?
The News 24/7 study has proved that eThekwini is the best metro in the country, even higher than Cape Town. So while you boast, while we always hear about Cape Town being number 1, eThekwini has been proven to be number 1 in the country. We have a AAA credit rating. And
Ladies
yes, we must
gentlemen,
accept.
let's give Brandon a chance to chat and tell us why the ANC is the best run municipality. Brandon, continue. The other parties will have an opportunity to respond.
On the contrary, Chair and host, I think it's very important that the audience allow us to
Yes,
complete our points.
I've told them to do so. So continue,
Yeah.
Brandon.
Thank you. So I'm saying that in spite of how you may have given
Remember,
an
you have
introduction-
60 seconds, so you're
Yeah, so I'm just saying that we have been just proven to be the best metro in the country. And we also have a credit rating that has been a AAA. Now, we understand and we accept that we have made mistakes, and we also believe that we are correcting them. And that's the pledge that we have made. The pledge that we are saying, yes, we have made mistakes, but we have corrected that, and we are correcting it.
Thank you, Brandon. To the Democratic Alliance, you have been the opposition in these municipalities, and all you did was to criticize the ANC for lack of delivery, expose corruption and maladministration, which is good, but this has not assisted the ratepayer to improve service delivery because you are the minority in KZN, not the Western Cape. Do you believe, based on the poor state of service delivery and corruption, that you will be able to topple the ANC and lead these municipalities? If so, what steps will you take to improve service delivery?
The answer is yes, because where we've been given the opportunity to do so, we did it. And we've proved it in every single case. And let me tell you this, Eunice. If we were never there to criticize and expose the weaknesses of the ANC, the public would not know that 120 billion rand of their money gets wasted. That's the role that we play. Because our job in the municipality was to look after your money that you're paying every single month. Do you really expect us to keep quiet and not criticize the ANC when they're stealing your money? And so that's the role that we've been playing. And if the ANC was so great, they wouldn't be coming down to 31% now. They used to be 65% in this municipality. If their idea of eThekwini being the best run municipality is sewer flowing into our rivers, our streets and beaches, where the water is switched off for weeks on end, where you have load shedding, and even when there's no load shedding, we still have load shedding here because the power is switched off constantly. They spend 70 million rand on bodyguards instead of fixing the infrastructure. If that's their idea of the best run municipality, I tell you, we'll do a better job.
Thank you, Hanif. Thank you, Hanif. To the ACC, Imtiaz, You seem to be one of the minority parties in these two metros. You're contesting these metros. Given the projected limited seats you may gain, what impact will you have on service delivery? Will you also become part of a coalition to use the bigger parties to have some impact in service delivery? Reality is that given your limited involvement in local government in these bigger metros, you may be reliant on the leading party to deliver. What's your take?
Let us be clear, and let us be very, very clear in this stance. We have councillors. By virtue of that, councillors are not politicians. They're there to deliver services to the people. At the end of the day, you don't need to be in coalition with anyone to be sitting as a councillor and to get to the line departments and deliver those services. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about politics? No, we don't plan on going to coalition with anybody. At the end of the day, if our interests are the same as other parties for the benefit of the people, then we will speak with them in unison and in one voice. But let's not be an opposition for the purpose of being an opposition all of the time. It takes commitment, it takes passion, and it takes an understanding of what the people need to move forward. So councillors are councillors. Councillors must do their job. At the end of the day, the executive committees of parties have to speak to other parties. If we're not speaking to each other, in fact, what are we doing? We're supposed to be sitting together in council and getting things done. What are we doing? If we can't talk to each other, if we can't have discourse, if we can't understand the plight of our people, then where are we going and how are we doing things? Councillors must do their job. They're supposed to be there for the people. They're supposed to listen to the people. They're supposed to take those messages through and pass it along. Thanks.
Thank you, Imtiaz. What Imtiaz has just confirmed is that the councillors they got to basically handle the complaints of the people in that particular ward, go to the line departments and ensure that there is service delivery, which is good. I would now hand over to Maulana Suleiman to continue with the rest of the debate.
Thank you so much, Brother Yunus. Sorry? You had a question? No. He's got a question. I see you alert. Now you'll get your chance. I can see you itching, but you'll get your chance.
To the IFP, basically your manifesto indicated that you lead with integrity, you empower people, and as you mentioned earlier, Jonathan, that the municipalities that you all were running, you all had good service delivery and no corruption, maladministration, etc. You further mentioned you will create food security. You all will partner with traditional leaders because a lot of the municipalities that the IFP have been leading have been in the rural areas. You make communities safer, you build homes. Now in eThekwini, you are a minority party. Like I was mentioning, ACC, you probably have 5% of the votes. Now, what impact will you have in service delivery going forward in eThekwini?
The response to that is very simple. People have lost faith in the present government. And because they've lost faith in the present government, they are looking for a political home, a political house that will provide them integrity, provide them answers for the questions and the issues that they are facing as a community. The percentages that you may be referring to may be correct for the previous elections, but what we intend on doing in this election is to increase that substantially so that there'll be no need for coalition governments, no need for us to be in discussion with other political parties, but we will be able to change the trajectory of this municipality on our own. And we will be able to do that based on the fact that we have a leadership in the party that is committed to ensuring that there is a betterment for our community. And we've done that with the municipalities where we govern, and that is a track record that cannot be denied. No matter how much we try to change that, it's not going to change.
Thank you, Jonathan. Apologies for missing you out there, because the questions were similar to the other minorities. Maulana Suleiman Rawat, you can continue.
Thank you. We'll just once again request all those that let the panelists express themselves fully. Then after that, you can either applaud or you can jeer. But if you're going to do it whilst they're expressing themselves, it's not fair to the other attendees, to the listeners, and to the viewers, because they can't hear them and they can't express themselves fully. It's about hearing them, whether you agree or you don't agree. Now, in this round, I'm going to ask a couple of questions to each one of the party representatives here. They'll have 60 seconds to answer. But if they not answering the question, I will interject. That's the nature of a debate. Or follow up very quickly to try and get a broader perspective from that particular answer. So, format starting with the ruling party, Brendan. Political violence is a big issue for the ANC, particularly in KZN. Not only are councillors being killed on a regular basis and the recommendations of the Morane report not really followed up on, the ANC on top of that has got internal contestation, factional battles. So your manifesto can promise or can solemnly pledge much, but until and unless you cannot come to grips and overcome the issue of political violence and this fierce and cutthroat contestation within the party by the various warring factions, you will not be able to deliver. And things will just get far worse. So the question is very specific. What is your plan of action to overcome infighting and political violence when it comes to the ANC?
We changed our process of nominations for candidates in local government. And that was as a result of having to look closely at the challenges that we had of infighting and political violence. And so we went through the branch process of a BGM, and immediately after the meeting, and at that community meeting, anyone was able to even nominate an ordinary person who's not even a member of the ANC to become the candidate. It then went to a community vote, and that individual then became the candidate of that ward. So what we are saying is that as the ANC, we want the majority view of that ward to prevail. Yes, I agree and I accept that there is political violence, there is infighting, but this is our home and we'll be able to deal with it inside. We don't need to go outside and fight that.
But you haven't been able to deal with it in over 2 decades.
We haven't been able to?
You haven't been able to sort out the infighting in 2 decades. But no. let me just pick up on what you've said there, right? That the new process is noted. Wherever your President Cyril Ramaphosa has been going, he's been getting grief from ANC supporters on the ground as a result of this process. And this process notwithstanding, this new process which you say is the silver bullet for infighting and for political violence, we've still had councillors losing their lives in recent days and weeks. So is this really the solution that you are projecting it to be to this very crippling aspect? Because you can have the best policies, the best intentions, but if you cannot get to grips with this internal factional fighting and the political violence, you cannot deliver service, quality service, to the citizens of the country.
Now, I think it's important to understand that it's not a collective. They are individuals. And we must understand that when it comes to individuals, even if the president is going to speak to you, and if you don't want to change your attitude and change the way you perceive things to be, you're not going to change. And this is the same with every political party or anywhere in the world. If it's up to an individual, but as a party, as a collective, we are saying this is what we've put into place. We've ensured that this is the process that we should follow.
Just before I move on, one more, Brendan, right? One of the darkest hours since democracy in our country has been the July rioting and looting. And the ANC has got to take the bulk of the share of the blame there. You're the ruling party, not only locally or provincially, but nationally as well. My question very specifically, are you willing to tell us tonight where the ANC failed the country and specifically the KZN region in as far as the looting is concerned? And the second part to that question, very specifically, what is your plan of action to ensure that we never have to see such a dark hour again?
You can't blame the ANC. And that's one thing that I'm going to...
Okay. Who should we blame then, Brendan? Because you are the ruling party in the council, in the province, and in the country. And KZN was hardest hit. Okay. All right, thank you. Who should we blame then, Brendan, if you're the ruling party?
I'm not going to pass blame or buck on anyone.
Let's hear him out.
I'm not going to pass blame or buck on anyone. Because I don't think that any political party contributed to the July unrest. And that's the reality. It was purely criminal. It was purely criminal, and I'm going to say that again. There were individuals who decided to jump on this and then decide to become criminal. And that's what it was. And the reality is if you were on the ground.
But who? Okay, all right, silence. Who allowed the criminals to carry on with what they did until civil society had to stand up and defend the lives of people?
And I must.
Your own president has said that this was an insurrection, and all indications were towards a particular faction of the ANC being behind the criminality.
And
Thank you.
shall I respond?
Sure.
Let me first applaud every one of those community organizations and police forums and street committees and safety groups, because yes, indeed, they did come out and they did protect their communities. And so we applaud them, and we must place on record that they have really protected their communities. But I also must say that yes, when it came to issues of intelligence and it came to issues of security, we have made mistakes. And you have seen how we've rectified those mistakes.
Those insurrectionists are yet to be arrested. But anyway, I don't want to labor the point. You'll get a chance to respond. Let's move on. Thank you. Hanif, if I can say on a lighter note, can we have silence, please? Thank you. Some are known for scoring goals and others are known for scoring own goals.
And then you find those who can't score any goals at all.
Is it better not to score a goal or to score own goal? But anyway, I'll leave that for the football, funnies. You know, the Musi Memani own goal, the Lindiwe Mazibuko own goal, the John Moody own goal. I think all of it comes down to race, right? And I see Gareth Cliff lost his Nando's sponsorship for saying that race has nothing to do with the local government elections. And the widespread reaction to his comments were very clear that race has everything to do with service delivery. Yes. I had machachos for supper, but nonetheless, he lost his Nando's sponsorship. The Phoenix posters. You put it up, your leader defended it to the hilt, then you took it down. And you said no, that we were calling those Indians who legitimately and legally stood up in defense of their lives and properties heroes, when the ANC called them criminals and racists and whatever else. But if that was the case, why did you take it down? Secondly, how can you generalize like that? Not all Indians are racist, that's correct. But then again, not all Indians are heroes. In a place where there was so much of racial tension. The question specifically is this: when is the DA going to get it right when it comes to race and stop this race baiting?
Thank you. There are people clapping. There are people clapping for me even before I can speak. Look, let me, and I'll give you a very fair and honest answer, as I always am with you. We're not obsessed with race in the DA. What we are obsessed with is the race to build a better future for our children. The race to build a better community for our country. The race to fix all of the problems that's going on, to get rid of corruption in our country. That's where our real focus is. We're not obsessed about the race. But you must just give me a chance to answer now. Otherwise, you won't learn anything.
Let him speak.
So, and you've asked me a question about the posters, and please let me explain. My colleague, and I understand his difficulty, but the fact of the matter is this, is that those riots were ANC organized riots. You could all say what you want. It was ANC organized riots. And there are many, and then people were panicking. I wish I could play a voice note from a lady who was at home at night. And it was left unto the ordinary South Africans to go and defend themselves. So those people, those ones.
The question is about the posters.
You give me, yes, I'm giving you the answer.
The time is up, so quickly about the posters.
So, do you want me to stop giving you the answer? I'll stop.
I'll give you an extra 10 seconds, the posters.
So the posters that we put up, very clearly, and everybody understands it, you know that. You understand it too, you explained it, were directed very clearly at the communities that stood up to protect their families. In our eyes, they are heroes. In the eyes of the ANC, they're racists.
Okay, so why did you take it down then?
We took it down for this very simple reason, is that we also recognize the sensitivity in South Africa. And what we don't want to do, we accept the fact that there were some people in society that misinterpreted.
Okay.
that they misunderstand it, that they misinterpret it.
But
rather than be stubborn about it, we accept that there is the possibility that people can misinterpret
All right.
it. But I'm making it clear about what the message was, and everybody understood it. But our political opponents decided to twist the message to suit their own narrative.
All right, thank you.
And the real leadership
All right.
was...
Yeah. Look, about everybody having understood it or agreed to it is fairly debatable, but I want to applaud you for your honesty. That proves the point, that the DA gets it wrong strategically when it comes to race, if not fundamentally, right? And it's people who it's people who held senior positions in your party. I mean, the most senior position was occupied by Musi Memani, Lindiwe Mazibuku, Herman Mashaba, John Moody, and they came out of the party and said, you're getting it wrong with race. Anyway, a quick question before I move on. The DA has historically been accused of focusing on the middle class, the privileged, right? And not so much on the underprivileged and the historically disadvantaged. In the context of the looting, whoever may or may not have been responsible, I know the DA was in the forefront of assisting those who were the victims, who were primarily middle class people. What did you do for those who were the alleged perpetrators, whom the EFF said were not criminals but were crying out for help? They were hungry, that's why they went out and looted. What did the DA do for them?
I didn't quite understand the point that you're making.
I'm saying that the DA was in the forefront of assisting those people who were the victims of the looting, the business owners, the mall owners, the middle class, the somewhat advantaged. The question that is being posed to the DA, and I've heard this from the EFF, is what have you done for those people whom the EFF claims were so hungry that they felt the need to go and loot? What have you been doing for that class within this country, for that category of people?
I don't understand this argument, and how does one justify that when somebody is hungry that they can go and loot somebody's private property? How does that work? And you're asking me to try and justify that? I'm sorry, I can't
what
do that.
have you done for those people who are going to bed hungry? You were seen in the forefront of helping those whose shops were looted.
I understand. Let me just tell you simply this, Malana. The very reason why we exist as a political party is to change the lives of our people in South Africa. And the only way you can do that is to take these crooks out of government, use that money to build a better future for our communities. And wherever we've had the opportunity, we have done it. Now, if you're asking me to give an example of which family in KwaMashu, in Inanda, in those communities that we have assisted, then you must give me an opportunity to be able to explain that. But every single day, in every corner of South Africa, DA councillors, activists, MPs, MPLs are out there helping people to change their lives and build a better South Africa.
Okay. Maybe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, people. Thank you. Maybe your PR machinery needs to project that more. Anyway, let's move on to the IFP. Jonathan, thank you, guys. And ladies and gentlemen, please, let's allow for them to be heard. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but let's not drown out their voices. It's not fair on the other attendees, nor on the viewers and the listeners. According to the Good Governance Report, South Africa 2019, it's a performance index, and they score municipalities on administrative quality, economic development, and service provision. They concluded that 4 of the bottom 20 municipalities were run by the IFP and 1 by an IFP coalition. How do you then inspire confidence in the people who you want to vote for you, despite the promises in the manifesto, if this is the track record, according to this Good Governance SA 2019 report?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, and thank you for it. The reality of the matter is that the IFP historically has been able to change the municipalities that it was given an opportunity to run. We have done that. And in these municipalities that you are making reference to in 2019, if you go back and you look at the strides that have made in those particular municipalities, you will find that there has been enormous changes in those specific municipalities, because we are not in denial. We believe that if there is a problem, we must work at it to resolve it. So we cannot deny that this statistics that you're giving to us, we cannot deny whether it is true or not. But what we can say is that if it is provided to us, what we will do is correct it. And in the recent years, we have done just that.
All right, let's take an example, right? If you were to get our vote and run eThekwini, this issue of the spillage, the chemical spillage, the contamination of the water, specifically, what plan of action do you have in mind?
Interesting question. First of all, we will have the resources to have it corrected.
Where will you find the resources? Explain that to us.
Under the current government.
I want the how. Leave the government.
No,
the how you would do it.
I'm giving it to you. Under the current government, we are losing billions of rands because of corruption, because of maladministration, because of tenderpreneering, because of all of the issues that has been experienced in this particular municipality. If you stop all of that, you will have the resources to correct it.
That's your plan. Stop the corruption, everything else will fall in place.
No, you stop the plan, you stop the corruption, you have the resources. Once the resources are made available, you will have the machinery, you will have the insight, you will have the intelligence to correct it.
Okay. All right. One more question for the IFP, right? Thank you. Your manifesto says, thank you, ma'am. Your manifesto says that South Africans should be preferred. There's an accusation that rises from you that you're once again stoking nationalism, and that would lead to xenophobia. The previous monarch is accused of having made comments that resulted in the last wave of xenophobic violence in this country. Has the party not learned from this? Why are you going down this route again of South Africans should be preferred, when we know that those who have come across the border, legally or illegally, porous borders or not, corrupt ANC government that can't control the borders or not, why this kind of rhetoric, this kind of narrative, when we have seen, not once, but multiple times, that xenophobia is a reality in our country?
Xenophobia is in fact a reality in our country. But how do you have citizens in this country who pay taxes, who make contributions to the economic ethos of this country, live without jobs, live without houses, live without proper healthcare facilities? You have to have priorities, your priorities right in the municipality. So we are not saying that those who come from outside our borders must not be given opportunity. We are not saying that they must not be given healthcare facilities, they must not be given education. What we are saying is that you have to take care of your people. Charity begins at home.
How do you make that differentiation?
That is why we have laws and policies and legislation in our country. If somebody is coming from outside this country, there are mechanisms in place for that person to become neutralized in the country.
It takes forever with Home Affairs, we know that. So what's your plan for the interim?
Again, it takes forever because of the current government.
Sure, fair enough, but if you in power, right, what would you do with the millions of so-called foreigners, illegals in our country in the interim, before Home Affairs can sort itself out with this kind of rhetoric? Are you suggesting that they should be deported? Are you suggesting that they should remain, have a sub-status to ID carrying South Africans? I just want clarity.
That is why you need the support of civil society. That is why you need public-private partnerships. That is why you need to empower civil society, so that when these incidences arise, whilst you're waiting to have the legislation sorted out, you have the support of civil society, and when the civil society is empowered, you'll be able to take care of these individuals.
Okay. Imtiaz, we come in the next round, right? I think in terms of what you've spoken thus far, it definitely has resonated with the audience and perhaps with many at home, because active citizenry was what really brought pride to the nation, especially during the July riots and the looting. And it was really humbling and touching to see from across the religious divides, the ideological divides, the political divides, people who were willing to put their lives and sacrifice themselves to protect others. You've spoken about intent, and intent is good. What's your plan of action? How specifically are you going to make the transition now from being a community activist to being a councillor, which is a political position?
I think quite easily we need to understand something, that the highest rate of service delivery is required in the space of safety and security. How can you be safe, not safe, and worry about a pothole? So we've excussed ourselves completely in that space. Sorry, can I?
Allow him to speak, please. Thank you.
Thanks. So in terms of what we've been doing, and we haven't been in this space for now, Active Citizens Coalition is a development of what we've always been doing. So we've got eThekwini Secure, which takes care of your safety and security. We've got eThekwini Outreach, which takes care of your social development in its compartment, in the municipality, for whatever purpose it has, and it's disaster management related only, right, by design. So in terms of what we're trying to achieve as a political alignment, is to say that the biggest change comes in the change of governance. Now, what do we plan on doing? Currently, there's gatekeeping within the ANC and the gatekeeping of corruption. That's a major, major challenge. How do we plan to resolve that? There needs to be outside oversight. There's Deloitte and Touche, there's all of these auditing companies. We want them to be sitting over every single MOE. I mean, right now, everyone speaks about SOEs. Where are our MOEs? eThekwini needs to run autonomously.
Okay.
Our water department needs to run autonomously. Then there's those MOEs. We're talking about job creations, and everyone will laugh at me because it seems undoable. It's undoable for the current climate of politicians there because they don't understand
Okay.
it.
What you're saying is very noble, and I don't think there's anyone here that can disagree with that. But I bring you back to my question. And the reason I ask this question is because not only in eThekwini, but the country over, there's this debate at community level, at community leadership level, that is it more strategic to remain community activist and to achieve some of these goals? Or is it more strategic to get involved in the political structure? Yeah. You spoke earlier on about those. You said they were good councillors in the DA.
Yes.
They had community intentions, and then it did turn into political aspirations.
Absolutely.
What stops that from happening to you guys? Why go into the political structure? Why not continue at community level as activists? What can you achieve by entering the structure which you can't achieve now?
Now, let us be clear. Are we dissecting me as an individual?
No, I'm talking about the concept and the party.
I'm answering it this way. So, if we're dissecting me in this whole equation, and you're not looking at the membership of what we have, then we're highly mistaken in your decision or your understanding. Because if you're deciding on analyzing me based on the capacity of someone else, then we're highly challenged here. At the end of the day, we've created, and we are leadership in different compartments of society. We've created eThekwini Secure, which has its own membership. Has nothing to do with ACC. If you look at our membership of eThekwini Secure, they don't sit in this room. They're out there and they're doing whatever they do in that space. We've got eThekwini Outreach, they're not here. They don't exist here. They're compartmentalized and they know what they're doing in their space. So we've become, or currently right now in your political climate, you've got general practitioners. We are grooming and creating leaders who are surgeons in their field. What does society need? Safety and security, social development, and governance change. This is our governance change trajectory of what we're planning to achieve. That's where we're coming from.
All right, thank you. We go to the final round before we go to the floor. This is where you get to ask each other a question, but now we've got to keep it structured, right? So you've got 30 seconds to ask your question, and the respondent has got 60 seconds to answer. Imtiaz, I'll start in reverse order. Is there anybody in particular from the panel that you would like to ask the question to?
I'd like to ask the DA a question.
Fair enough, go for it.
Of course, yes. So with all due respect, being in opposition for the purpose of being in opposition, kindly tell us exactly what change have you brought? Because telling us that this is what the ANC has done, this is always their problem, they're corrupt. When are they corrupt? Why are they corrupt? How have you exposed it and when have you exposed it? That's my question.
Hanif?
The thing I find most fascinating about wannabe politicians is that they criticize the politicians, but they want to be politicians themselves. I'll give him the answer.
Okay, thank you. No. Let's keep calm. Let's keep calm.
Your leader asked me a question. Let me give him the answer.
You have a
And the
representative who's capable of asking the questions and answering. Let's leave it to them.
The answer is very simple. Is that, and I've mentioned it over and over, and I'll mention it to you, and I'll give you even all the details as you wish. Wherever we have an opportunity to govern and change South Africa, we've done it. We've got the track record. So the one we were able to achieve. And you know how we do it? We do it by employing the best people for the job, not bringing Deloitte and Touche. We will be the Deloitte and Touche.
All right. Not everywhere, though, eh? Not everywhere. Because the 3 years that thank you. The 3 years of DA rule in Joburg didn't see much of a difference for the residents of Joburg. Can we just have silence, please? Can we have silence? Thank you. So I was just saying that you say everywhere you've improved. The jury is out in Joburg because those 3 years of DA rule in the Joburg Council, residents didn't see much of a difference. Sorry? Yeah, very quickly. Right. Hussein, Hanif, do you have a question for anybody?
To be fair, to answer the comment that you made, you can't compare our 3 years of governance with the ANC's 27 years. I mean, let's be honest.
Quick. All right, thank you. Imtiaz, your quick follow-up.
Very quickly on a follow-up, Hanif. At the end of the day, you still haven't answered my question. At the end of the day, it comes down to a very specific thing.
I answered your question. You weren't listening. I'll tell you what I've done, and I've said it.
Ultimately-
I said to
No,
you.
no, let me
I'll give
ask
you.
my question.
I'll give you another
I'm still
example. If
giving
you
you
say
the
I didn't
follow-up.
answer your question, let me
I'm
give you an
still giving
example.
you the follow-up.
So, in the city of Cape Town, for
I'm
example,
still
there's
giving you the
load shedding all over South Africa.
Can I give him the
What have
follow-up?
we done? We've used the people's money to build a hydroelectric dam, so that when Eskom switches the lights off, we put it on. So there's
All right,
an example.
thank you.
Do you want me to give you more?
No, fine. We leave it to the attendees to
I
make
think-
silence.
I
Silence. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's just be respectful of everybody, right? Thank you. No. We're going to move on now. Hussein, your question. Who would you like to ask? Thank you. Please. I'm gonna insist now, right? Let's be fair to everybody. What's your question?
Is this microphone working?
Yeah, just on his microphone.
Is that fine now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for the ANC. The fact of the matter is this, that all of us in this room and everybody listening to this radio station are all equal South Africans. There's one constitution, one right for everybody. Why is it that the ANC treats us as the Indian community differently? When it comes to jobs, we're last in the line. When it comes to housing, we're last in the line. When it comes to university, we're last in the line. Why does the ANC hate us so much? Yet we're the ones who supported them to get into government in the first place during apartheid. Why does the ANC hate the Indian community so much?
Thank you.
Can you give me that answer?
Brendan, your response?
I'm not sure if that's a question or a statement, but why does the ANC hate the Indians? The ANC doesn't hate the Indians. I'm Indian. The ANC doesn't hate me. In fact, it was the ANC that took me to national parliament as a member of the Indian community in Chatsworth. So how then does the ANC hate me as an Indian if I was taken to national parliament, to National Assembly? Now, and a very simple response.
Thank you.
Why does it have to be race again? It's always race in the DA.
Thank you.
Why is it race? And let me tell you that they themselves know this, that within the DA, they are getting rid of every other person of color. Just the other day, I was never a member of the DA and I never will be, but let me just say that Lindiwe Mazibuke was a prominent member of the DA.
Time.
Prominent. And the question to her, and what did she say? Never in a million years will I vote for John Steenhuisen as my councillor.
Thank you. Right, let's move on. Jonathan, thank you. Just be a bit patient in the crowd. We're coming to you in a bit. Jonathan, your question, who would you like to ask?
It's also going to be to the ANC.
Okay.
In eThekwini, the erstwhile mayor, Zandile Gumede, and her co-accused were almost indicted, going to be indicted maybe, for maladministration and corruption to the value of over 300 million rand. She was promoted to the KZN legislature. The internal factions in the ANC are so bad that to date, we are at the end of a term, they cannot appoint a deputy mayor. How can the electorate, ordinary citizens, trust the ANC not to put criminals and not to put people who don't understand our community into councils?
Thank you. Brendan, quick answer.
Yes. So these are allegations, and the
Quiet.
So these are allegations, and the case is sub judice. It's before a court. It's not the ANC's fault that the NPA has not finalized this matter. But I'm sure that as the IFP and every other political party, they've heard about the ANC's decision on step aside. And we have implemented that step aside. And I think no one can say that we have not, because every individual who belongs to the ANC in those positions and have been in some kind of opposition to the law or have been involved in something has been asked to step aside. And that has happened across from national. We had our Secretary General who had to step aside And this is the Secretary General of the ANC.
All right.
So the ANC has corrected it.
Your question, Brendan, lastly. To who would you like to ask?
So I have to give this prelude to my question because the word corruption is something that the DA loves and the word Cape Town the DA loves. But just to say that there's 58 million rand tender fraud in Knysna. There is one individual who is out on 10,000 rand bail and on the candidate list, much higher than the even current mayor. And the question is, will the DA prosecute the crooks in its ranks, like the candidate who fiddled the TERS funding in Cape Town?
Thank you.
The answer is very straightforward, yes. We will always put a crook in jail. The ANC puts them in government.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So now we come to the part where you guys can make some contribution. Remember, this is a debate. You don't have to like or you don't. Can we have silence, please? Otherwise, we can't proceed like this, right? Thank you so much. Let's be mature. We are South Africans. And we need to be mature about these processes. You don't have to like the questions that they asked each other. You don't have to like the answers, nor agree with it. The idea behind a debate is for you to listen to how they answer and for you to listen to how they question and conduct themselves, then make up your own mind. So Mr. Yunus Sakur of Al Ansar and Junaid Karsani of Radio Islam will now come to the floor. We have promised that there were a few parties that wanted to be part of the panel, but we couldn't accommodate everyone. So Action SA, Mustafa Darsot, and UIF, we'll give you an opportunity first. Is there any other party who's not on the panel? Then we'll get to the party supporters and representatives from those who are already on the panel. So Mr. Yunus Sakur and Mark Karsani, yes, IFP will come to you. You've got a rep there, right? So let's give Action SA and UIF and whoever else who's not represented there, let's give them an opportunity first to make a few comments and ask a question. And after that, we'll come to the rest. So Mr. Sakur and Mr. Karsani will proceed. Let's please have silence so we can hear the questions. 30 seconds for your comment or question. UIM. Thank you. What does it stand for?
Samuel Kennedy from UIM will ask the first question. Samuel, can you sort of introduce your party and explain to us your comments and questions?
Thank you. It's a pity that we weren't given a chance while others didn't pitch. So if we had a chance, we'd be able to contribute as opposed to people not pitching. I represent the UIM. It's the United Independent Movement led by Neil de Beer. I'm the national chairman. I've listened to quite a bit that was said here today. And to be quite honest with you, nothing concrete, apart from some of what the ACC said, has materialized. Nothing. We've been told nothing about Durban. Nothing has come from the ANC, Inkatha, and the Democratic Alliance. Nothing. Dololo. We want to talk about what are we going to do for the people of Durban. Simple. Right? And what do we want to do? We want to give them services. Why do we want to give them services? Because people pay for services. Different to those people who don't pay for services. That's what we want these guys to tell us. We want people to tell us what services are we going to get for our rates and taxes. We've got nothing today. Secondly, to say to the DA, they talk about posters and racists and heroes. They've done nothing. Go and ask them what contribution they made in Phoenix besides the UIM. Absolutely zero. In fact, let me go further. They talk about the ANC. They talk about the ANC and the Indians. The DA are the worst when it comes to coloreds in Cape Town. I'm a colored. Right? I'm a colored. They do nothing. All they do is yap. They're quite happy to talk about everything other than delivering. We're saying, and I'm going to close with this, and you need to listen to me very clearly. I represent the UIM.
Sir,
Number one.
Can you close by telling us what your party would offer in terms of service delivery?
I'll tell you now. I'll tell you now because you allowed them to have 2 minutes instead of a minute. But I'll tell you in a minute. One, we'll be taking seats from somebody, for fact. No discussion, no debate. One of them here will be losing seats. Not him, but those three. That's point one. Two, my friend. Every councillor under my caucus will be required to give full reasons as to why the budget is not reallocated. A budget. Because that's what determines how service delivery is. Without a budget, you can't do service delivery. We'll reallocate every budget for Phoenix, for Chatsworth, for Verulam, for Merebank.
Okay.
Wherever it includes minorities, we will reallocate the budget. That's our position.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the panelists to just take notes of the comments and questions as we go along, then we'll come to you after a while. Does Action SA want to contribute?
SA.
Mustafa?
Come front.
A quick comment and perhaps what your party has to offer, and if you have any questions.
Is this Action SA?
Good evening to all of you. My name is Mustafa Darsot, Senate member for Action SA. I've heard on the radio coming here and of course being here, I've heard our colleagues speaking. Again, I have to echo a lot of sentiments from my good colleague there from the UIM. Nice to meet you, by the way. Nevertheless, the ANC, you've been in power for 27 years, right? If anything, all that 27 years, talk about all the achievements you've made. What has happened in the last 3 months here in Durban has all been flushed down the drain, right? You say that the city has got AAA grade rating, right? You say the city has got this, the city has got that. Why is it that the city's cash reserves sit at 4 weeks cash reserves compared to before? Durban Metro was the best run metro in the whole of Africa. From pre-apartheid times till now, it was, until recently, it was the best run metro in Africa, even better run than Cape Town. Today, Durban Metro is not where it used to be because it's riddled with corruption. Right? Why is it that in 2016, with 1.8 million registered voters in eThekwini, only 800,000 voted and the ANC got 56%? Right? IFP, yes, you guys in 1996, when we had the first local government elections here in Durban, you guys had the privilege of being the first mayorship of the city. But unfortunately, it did not go well. No wonder the ANC took over because something wasn't done right. As for the DA, well, the DA is always there in opposition, and the DA will always make the hoo-ha and always will refer to Cape Town. Yes, we know it is well run, right? We know certain municipalities of the Western Cape is well run. We know the Midvaal in Gauteng is well run. But really speaking, what is happening here in Durban? What do you have to offer us in Durban? Especially as what a lot of people have said, when we had those riots, where were you DA councillors?
All right, Mustafa,
Right? So what I want to say is that as Action SA, right, okay, we are contesting this election. Our party is contesting this election, and we are committed of our 7 main party key points. We are committed to the rule of law and ethical leadership, right? And that's no matter what, whether you're ANC, IFP, DA, whoever you are, that is the first cornerstone that you need to be accountable for those two points of ethical leadership and the rule of law. And then the rest falls into play.
All right. So we'll go to the floor now, Mark Karsani and Brother Yunus. We're going to try and be fair to give from all the different parties an opportunity.
Okay.
So now we'll come back to you. Just keep on taking notes, right? So
Keep
Mark
on taking
Karsani and
notes.
Yunus will decide how to allocate.
Everybody will have a turn. We'll start from one side. Relax. Everybody will have a turn. We will start from one side and then we will go on the extreme left.
Deputy Mayor-elect Diane Hurzuk.
Now, I don't have a question, I have a correction.
Thank you.
I sit on the Finance Committee and I chair the Finance Committee. We have 96 days of cash on hand. We do not have 4 weeks. Case closed.
From this side here of the hall, who do we have? You, sir, right in front. We'll come. Everybody will have a turn.
Okay, just to all the people, my name is Malcolm Narayan Sami, a registered
Thank you.
member of DA,
Let's give him a chance.
right? and I live in Ward 69. They say charity begins at home. My ward councillor lives opposite my house. And if you want to speak corruption, I have proof. Anif Hussain, thank you. I'm seeing you personally today. I WhatsApped you, I went all out to complain about this corruption that was happening in Ward 69. I'm sure you know me, heard of me, WhatsApp. Now, no, on WhatsApp as well. On WhatsApp, you and Megan Shetty, and there was nothing. It went into their back pockets. Corruption of the 600 vouchers that came in, I've got proof. They sent me to a place. They sent me to a place where I was spoken to somebody that was DA, and it was all resolved within the party.
Okay, thank you.
At the end of the day,
I'm going to ask you to speed it up.
No, out of the question.
Thank you.
Left-hand side of the hall. Come, ma'am.
I'm going to ask H1, get to the point. Try and keep it to about 30 seconds.
Thank you, sir. God bless and good evening. Thank you for this opportunity for a 70-year-old woman to drive this tenacity. I'm 70 years and I have the tenacity to drive. My name is Teresa Mudley. I don't, but I'll stand. My name is Teresa Mudley. I am from Phoenix Ward 48. When Bradley Singh went to Parliament, the people of Ward 48 gave the DA another good, gracious chance to bring in Michelle Lachman to act on the Bradley's going away to Parliament. During her time of office in Ward 48, she did nothing. More so being a woman, having that empathy and that sympathy for the people of her ward who lived there for years and years, nothing good was done. More so, in Ward 48, lots of things has to be done, but she didn't do. I'm asking you, sir, with all due respect, no qualms about it. How do you still feel a woman with that kind of caliber into a community that has been downtrodden, looking for some hope, some savior to come and help them in Ward 48? How do you do it?
Thank you.
How do you do it? How?
Thank you.
How?
Thank you. Thank you.
No work done. I live there. I'm a community activist.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. We'll just hold it there for a minute. We're going to give them quick, sharp responses, right? Imtiaz, you want to go first? Is there anything you want to respond to from the floor? Okay. Anif, you've got quite a bit of responding to do, but keep it quick.
I'll try. There was some long explanation, so I'll try and keep it. The gentleman who talked about a DA councillor being involved in corruption, brother, I'm not the police. Go to the police station, charge him. I don't care. If it's a DA councillor involved in corruption, go and report it to the police and let them investigate and put them in jail.
Okay,
I don't care who it is. So you can't come and give me, those
move on.
statements and I don't even know the details. Go to the police station, charge him, please. You shouldn't be keeping quiet about corruption yourself. You must go and report it. The second question...
Thank you. Let's listen to the answers.
You guys, come on. When they were asking the questions, I was listening. Now I'm answering them, you must listen. That's how this thing works, right? Ma'am, the 70-year-old lady. For a 70-year-old lady, you've got a hell of a lot of energy. Well done. But let me just say this as a matter of principle. And you made some very generalized comments about the councillor not doing their job and so on. And it's difficult on this platform for me to give you the details of what she did for 5 years, understandably. But as a matter of principle, if you feel that we as a DA councillor is not doing as well as we should, we must work harder. And I would love to have a conversation with you afterwards. Let's see where we can make it better. But I see you wearing an IFP t-shirt. I want to make sure you join the DA as well, all right?
Thank you. Jonathan, anything for you? Thank you.
I don't have any specific question given to me, but I just want to say to UIM, If you believe everything that you said to us here today, then with all due respect, you must really be living in cloud cuckoo land. What have you done for Phoenix, UIM? Beside paste Phoenix with black and white posters and put up a picture of your leader? Absolutely nothing. During the unrest, where were you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you want to account for the budget? Do you even know how much the budget is in eThekwini? So it is easy for newer parties. My point is, it is easy for newer parties to come in and criticize. But I can assure you that once they get in, the tune will change completely. Because they have absolutely no understanding of how these councils are run.
And if you missed out one question.
I'm sorry, yes. There was one question from the gentleman.
Thank you.
And just so that I don't show disrespect to the gentleman from Action SA, I think asked me a question and I want to respond to him. And my answer is simply this. You know what fascinates me about the Action SA is that they criticize the whole world, but they can't even get their name on the ballot paper right. How are they going to fix complex variations in South Africa? So the problems here in South Africa are much bigger than that. And my advice to Action SA is go and learn the Electoral Act and the laws first before coming and criticizing the parties who are getting the real work done.
Thank you. Brendan, your responses quickly?
Yeah.
Thank you, people.
We must be practical and real about this. This is local government elections. You must get 51% or more to have to control the budget and make these decisions. And the reality is that you must win at least 70 wards. I'm not sure if people have checked the previous results and how many wards the ANC have won in eThekwini, how many wards we will win, the ANC strongholds, how many PR seats you have, and so who then controls the municipality. And it's important to understand this, that you bring all these smaller parties, you give away those fractional votes, and I have nothing against them because really this is a democracy and this is what it's about. It's about getting more people to participate, and I think it's important to do that. But if you think that you're going to come in and take over the municipality, which the DA has not been able to do, the IFP has not been able to do, I mean, really, it's your first election, guys. Try, after the next few elections, and probably get seats. But just in response, directly, and I'm not shooting down anyone, but directly about this AAA rating.
Thank you.
AAA rating and about having been declared #1 metro in the country. We have provided 15,799 housing units, of which 21,035 jobs were created. We've electrified 740,000 in peri-urban and rural areas. We have increased access to piped water from 95% to 99%. Access to piped water. Yes, 100%. That's where we're getting to. I'm sure you never scored 100% in every exam.
All right.
You did 89 and then you got to 100. Or maybe you didn't even.
Brennan, you can just speed it up. Thank you. We come back to the floor. The panelists will ask you to take notes. Moana Karsani will just facilitate the questions from the floor.
All right.
Introduce yourself and then you can...
Okay, hi, my name is Julian and I'm a normal community resident from Chatsworth. My question today is twofold. It is to the ANC. Brandon, okay, I'm also from Chatsworth. What I want to tell you is that you boasted a lot about the 62%, and I've seen it around because in Ward 71 of which I'm from, it's been going out, eThekwini is the best municipality at 62%. But what you failed to show the people, because I went and did some homework on myself, so in my hand I have the report. What we failed to realize is that how do you be so happy when 2.8 billion has not been spent properly? How do you be happy when a minimum spend on a municipality in terms of maintenance is supposed to be 8%? Like I went in and I checked out Cape Town as well as Johannesburg. They're supposed to be 8%, but it shows me 0 on your report. Now, it's great that you spend a lot of money in terms of running after fixing burst pipes. You should have taken the money, used it on maintenance, so we don't have burst pipes. That's something that you guys need to take into consideration. So the second question is that, why is it that, for example, in Ward 71 of which I'm from, which is the second question, is that we have something which is called a captured ward committee. Now this has been going around a lot, and it's something that happens specifically in our area, where one community dictates exactly. So for example, the ward committee compromises specifically of a bottle brush area. That community dictates how services and how pays that are all around Morton, Crossmore,
All right.
as well as Shawcross are actually serviced, and we get the worst, or if not no service delivery at all in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much to the moderators, panelists. My question is to the ANC, but it's not a difficult question, a very easy question. I want to know, how is it possible that at every budget meeting, you get the IFP to support your budget, which is increased water, electricity, rates, sewer? So please answer that question for me. Secondly is, that lovely lady there, Teresa, she used to go to my church, so I know her very well.
But it should be one
And she mentioned my name, so I think it's important that we get the facts straight. She does not live in Ward 48, she lives in Brookdale. That's the first point. The second point is that the reason why she will criticize the DA ward councillor in Ward 48 is because Mr. Anipan is the candidate for the IFP. When Anipan was the councillor for the MF and the auntie fired him, Teresa was with him. So now he's with the IFP, Teresa will beat him. But we understand. And Jonathan has never won an election.
Thank you.
The DA councillor is going to whack him there.
All right, thank you, 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 ma'am. Ma'am, can you settle down, please? Thank you, thank you, thank you, ma'am, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get back to the front and the questions. Let's be fair to the gentleman. He wants to pose his question. Let's allow him to be heard. Thank you. Thank you. We'll come back this side. Thank you. Ma'am, thank you. Moana Karsani takes note of the hands. He'll come to you. Let's allow him the space. Please. Thank you.
All right, so good evening. And I think it's time to bring some facts into this debate. I'm going to start with the ACC. So for the ACC, my question to you is as follows, and you must forgive me for looking at my phone because I've just made some notes. Does the ACC really stand for representativity of our community? Because if you look at the South Durban, for instance, you've got all Indian males as your candidates. You've got Mr. Mahen in Ward 7169, Mr. Julian in Ward 7265, Mr. Zain in Ward 1713, Mr. Daddu in Ward 77, and Mr. Rufus in Ward 70. Again, all Indian males. That is not a true representation of what we see in our community if we talk about statistics. And then I'm on the floor and I'm protected.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then I'm going to go on to the IFP. So the IFP,
silence, please. Thank
my
you.
question, or shall I say more of a concern, is that the youth make up the majority of the demographics in South Africa, but it doesn't reflect in your leadership team. We talk about gerontocracy. So gerontocracy is where you have people that are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90 years old leading you. Then how can those people talk about the issues that affect the youth on a daily basis?
All right.
And that is your leadership team. One moment, sir.
Quickly.
I'm almost done, okay. The gentleman from the DA spoke about corruption in the tune of 120 billion rand in eThekwini. But when you were given a chance in the city of Cape Town, you splurged in the region of 300 billion. That's double the amount on consultants. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start with the ICC. Okay. We'll just take some responses. Moana Karsani indicate who will be in the next round of questions. Imtiaz?
Your question very quickly. You say that in the south of Durban, we've only got males. With all due respect, in Indian males, 100%, right? In the north of Durban, we only have females. And in central Durban, we have a majority of everybody. Sorry, you've already asked your question.
Let me speak.
You can allow me to answer you. So with all due respect to that, we are not going into communities where we have to fight to get any sort of leadership out of them. At the end of the day, it comes down to who do we believe that has merit within their society, and let us not be race baiting in your population or in your community. So when you come to the south of Durban, if you go to Wentworth, you'll see we've got Jono and Tasneem Losper there. That's your candidate in the south of Durban where there's a colored community. So just to correct you, in areas where we have predominantly Indian, we're quite aligned to understanding that the community dynamic requires the same type of person coming from that community and understands the plight of that community. So to stand for correction there, we have a vast array of different candidates from different religions, different races, all over the place. And yes, by design, we are not running candidates in Umlazi and KwaMashu because we're not going to fight the political climate in order to deliver service. We're being realistic about what we want to achieve, and we want to achieve that. That's 100% where we are. If Umlazi and KwaMashu and Newlands East at that allows us to come into the area and give them what we have, then 100% we'll go in there, but we haven't been invited. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hanif?
There was just one question from the gentleman who was asking from his phone. Somebody WhatsApped him the questions, I think. And I'll tell you why I think they WhatsApped him the question. Because he got it wrong. He said 300 billion rand in City of Cape Town. The budget's only 50-something billion rand. So, brother, just ask those guys to WhatsApp you that message again and come back and ask the question. I'll give you the answer, right?
But how much did you spend on consultants in Cape Town?
He talked about squandered 300 billion rand. We can't squander 300 billion rand when there isn't that amount of money, which is nonsense.
What was the amount in terms of what was spent on consultants?
I don't have the figure that how much we spend on consultants in the City of Cape Town. I'm living here in Durban.
Okay.
I mean, I don't study that level of degree. But if he really wants it, I'll give it to him.
All right.
But of course, they must be spending money on consultants. And if the amount of money, I don't know what it is. If it's exorbitant, I don't think that that's the right thing to do, and I'll be quite upfront about it. By comparison to ANC-run municipalities, it's 10 times worse. So whatever we do better than what the ANC does, and that I can guarantee you. There was not 300.
All right, thank you. Jonathan, about the youth?
You love us so much.
Before I go on to the youth issue, as usual, Bradley is a coward. He asks his question and walks away. He must tell us what happened to the chickens. He must tell us what happened to the chickens in Ward 52 when he was a councillor there. He must also tell us why he promised solar geysers to the people and never provided them. He must also tell us where he got his facts from when the leader of the former party that I represented went on national radio and said, I resigned. How can he come here and mislead? This is the reason why his political career was fast coming to an end, because he's a pathological liar and the people in Phoenix know it. His name is stinking in Phoenix. Nobody wants to know about him. His own party took him out of Phoenix and deployed him somewhere else because they have no trust in him.
Okay, thank you. The youth question.
I must accede to the question on youth.
Thank you.
Our party believes in free and equal representation. In the National Assembly, our youth leader, the national chairperson of our youth, he's late now, but he represented us in the National Assembly as the Deputy Chief Whip. Nkululeko Shlengwa is a youth, he's represented in the National Assembly. In our local municipality, and we're talking about local politics here, if you look at the list in eThekwini, it is very, very well balanced. We're correcting these issues in eThekwini. In every level of government, the IFP has representation of youth. In our National Executive Committee, we have youth represented. In our National Council, we have youth representatives. So I think we need to go and check the facts again and come back with the correct ones, because in every level of our party structures and in every level of government, we do have youth representing the party.
All right, thank you. Brendan, there were two questions to you there.
Yeah, firstly, I must say that we must stop wasting airtime and mudslinging. We must actually be practical in giving answers, because that's what we're here to do, and that's how you get communities to vote. So really, coming to mudsling is not going to get you votes.
Thank you.
I want to say that it's important to understand local government, and this is in response to Julian. There's the MFMA, there's the Municipal Structures Act, there's the Municipal Systems Act. And so I'm also not sure where you've been in the last 2 years, but we are going through COVID and lockdowns after lockdowns, and you're not going to be able to spend. And hence you're going to have certain budgets that are not going to be used, because especially in certain industries, they've not been able to do certain things because of COVID. But this thing about captured ward committee, I think it's important for you to understand that there's a process of ward committees being elected. And that is where the municipality will call the community to a meeting. They will then nominate people, and then they go through voting. And so if you want to be part of that ward committee in your ward, and you have every right to be there because you are a registered voter in that ward and you be part of it, then attend the ward committee election. That's how you become a ward committee member. You say captured, but it's the people who attend that meeting that get elected onto the ward committee. And you ask anyone for that matter. In a predominantly DA ward, you'll find people who are DA that will attend the ward committee elections and get elected onto the ward committee. So if you want to make a difference, you don't just throw your voice outside there, you attend that election. You go and get elected onto the ward committee. And that's how you're going to represent the interests of your people.
All right, the second
How
question.
does the IFP vote to the ANC? I mean, you should ask them that because they're voting with us. But clearly it's because they support the budget and they support development and local government, and they see a need to then vote with us and support the budget. You don't support the budget, but you spend our money.
All right, thank you. We've got about 10 minutes left for questions from the floor. So we just Mark Arsani will recognize you, and then you've got to come across because you've got to stand at that spot and speak so that the camera can pick you up. Let's keep it to the point.
Sure. So my question is to the ACC. They haven't received many in this engagement. Arguably, as a very small and upcoming party, I'd like to challenge your understanding of local government, because I've listened intensively to what you've said here, and it leaves a lot to be desired. So mine is going to be quite technical to you as the leader of the bunch. What are the 3 main legislations that govern local government? In eThekwini, how many committees does council comprise of? And within that, where would the decisions that govern the finances of the municipality be discussed? And what was the performance of that committee in this past term? Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings and thank you for the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum to every one of you.
Just identify yourself.
It is indeed my pleasure. I am one of your candidates from Ward 31, representing a legacy and a dynasty of IFP, which is 46 years of clean slate. It is a privilege to serve someone who is 93 years old, but the values and principles have never changed through those years. Thank you. Leadership is not about power, it is about action. Process of change comes from the culture of leadership. So I say, build on our strength and profit from our experience. That my question today is to, first I have just my views and a question. First thing to ANC. I'm going to be very, talk about the recent, for the unrest. How is it after the unrest when our country has been buried? First it had a status, it came to no status, and now it's gone from junk status, we are buried under. We are at a 0 point. How does the ANC propose with a very practical, with a realistic and a tangible plan to take this country, to build this country from 0 to hero?
Okay. All right, thank you.
And can I just please
very
afford
quickly,
me?
very
I just want to say, I am proud of every candidate here who is trying to do something, but I want to say one thing to the ACC. I am truly humbled because I've been working 27 years without anybody's pay, and I'm in like 27 years as a social worker, as a motivational speaker. But I found you very realistic because you resonate with our IFP values.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have to move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just kindly mention your name before you start so that they can take note. Thank you.
Name is Melvin Pillay, and I represent Ward 69. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say it's very disturbing to say the DA gets things done I've been seeing it all over the posters and all over the light poles, and it's right there. But you know, from 2011 to 2016.
Thank you. Thank you.
From 2011 to 2016, Brandon Pillay was a councillor in Ward 69. And from 2016 to 2021, the DA, Kenneth Cavender, was a councillor. So
Thank
when
you.
the DA
Thank you.
say they get things done, in my ward, Ward 69, nothing has been done up till this very day. Right. And to summarize this, I don't see the ward councillor from Ward 69. Yeah. I don't see, I can't understand why he's not representing the ward. Secondly, I would like to say to the DA that if you're speaking about the unrest was not only with the ANC. If you look at the unrest itself, it was caused and it was done by every individual that lives in KZN. So we can't say that the ANC has done,
Thank
or
you.
ANC
Thank you.
has done or caused the unrest.
Thank you. Let's move on. We've got 5 minutes left for questions from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My question will be to Mr. Imtiaz Said of the ACC. But the technical question from the DA, obviously I don't think he knew the answers before he became a councillor. But anyway, that's besides the point. Mr. Said, we've been talking about issues that really affect the community. The parties here have been talking about party politics and what affects them, party between party. You, as the leader of the Active Citizens Coalition, what is really your solutions? It's a biased question. I'm asking my party leader, of course. Yeah, but anyway, this guy here swears at my candidates publicly, and he should be ashamed of himself. Do you allow your people to swear at the candidates? Do you? You don't. Thank you. So kindly apologize, Hassan Hanif, Ward 25, that you left in a mess. Mr. Imtiaz Sayed, what really is the ACC going to do? We need to talk about people. We don't need to talk about party politics. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question, the lady.
One more. No, there's two there. We're just going to finish with
Phoenix, two more.
Right, those will be the last two.
Good evening to the room. My name is
Thank you,
Alice
thank you.
Cavender.
Thank you. Can we have silence, please?
I have
Allow
the
her to
ladies and
speak.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
My name is Alice Cavender. I'm a community activist in Phoenix for just over 21 years and also a candidate. Thank you, Tino. Didn't need your help, though. Also a candidate in Ward 52 and Ward 48. I just want to make a statement and then a few questions to both the DA and to the ANC. The statement I want to make is it's absolutely shocking, disgusting, and appalling to see the DA and the ANC sit here with such smug expressions on their faces, because you are the government of the day and you are the opposition of the day. So you sit here in all your glory, grinning at us like we're idiots. No more. Both of you parties have failed us dismally. That's my statement to both of you. My questions. I'm from Phoenix. The unrest. Been on the street, bust my toe, cut my leg. Thank you. Stood out on the streets with our men and our boys protecting. Then the damn DA comes along with their big posters and all of their publicity machine to try and be our heroes. You're not. For 27 years, nothing has been done in Phoenix that one can concretely say. We have a new children's home. We have an old age home. We have a drug center. There's programs that have been put in place. The vouchers have been eaten away by their own councillors. My phone of how ward councillors have answered the constituents.
Thank you.
Proof of it. Videos and written material.
All right, ma'am.
Let me also just say something else. Phoenix will no longer be a voter farm. The DA considers us easy, low-hanging fruit. No longer will you enjoy the Indian vote. The Go Durban project was signed off by ward councillors. Demarcation of Phoenix borders has happened without consultation of the people. It was supposed to be rolled out to the community before it can be approved. None of it has happened. Right now, the Phoenix community is paying for non-paying residents on all utilities and service. It's a damn shame what you guys have done.
Thank you. And one more, the last one for today.
Good evening, everybody. My question is going straight to the DA. I just want to find out how did DA choose their candidates? Secondly, on the 16th of October, I can't see where's Nicole Graham, admitted to the public in a meeting there in the corner of Ward 23 that they made a poor choice and a corner of Ward 23. So how can the people can trust your decision? Thank you.
Okay, just one last question. Chair, one more that he hasn't had a chance before.
Right? You want to clarify the question? Okay, just clarify the question and we'll put this on.
Quickly, right?
Greeting, guys. Yasin Ismail from Clear State Ward 25. I just want to clarify the question that the lady posed to the DA. The question was basically, Nicole Graham attended a meeting, a public meet and greet to the community of Clear State and openly admitted that the DA had made a poor choice of a candidate for the ward. So we're asking the question to you guys that you are putting people into wards which I don't think you guys are choosing correctly. So how can people trust you people in the choice of what you are making in candidates firstly?
All right, thank you. And the very last question. Last question, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. No, let's behave, right?
Can we have some order,
thank you.
please?
Let's have order, thank you.
In all fairness, everyone should just give others respect, right? We all should respect each other. So, good evening. My name is Jigen Sharif, Ward 71, Shawcross and surrounding areas in Chatsworth. My question is to the UIM, Mr. Samuel Kennedy. It's simple. IFP says that you don't know politics. You've been just coming here and just speaking your mind. You didn't want to come into politics. Where were you before the unrest? Where were you? Where were you? So, please, could you answer us and tell us why you actually got into politics with UIM and Dr. Neil Debia. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I think we're done now. We'll just ask the UIM to respond to that question, then we're going to go to the panels. Can you come to the front, sir?
Come front.
Thank you, thank you. Very quickly, a very quick response.
Look at the camera, Mr. Kennedy.
Hello, folks. I don't even want to reply to the IFP. He probably wasn't there when we were fighting just 2 days ago. We were in Phoenix yesterday. He wasn't there. We were in Phoenix last week. He wasn't there. We were in Phoenix since July. He wasn't there. We're still there. Let me just say.
Thank you.
Let me just say. He's had his chance.
Thank you.
He's had his chance. What I compliment him for. Hang on.
Come on, guys. Let's give him the chance.
What I'd like to compliment him for, at least he knows the color of the poster. At least he knows the color of our posters.
Thank you.
But to come back to the question. I've been a Durban City Councillor. I know what I'm talking about. He hasn't been a councillor. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's as simple as that. So my advice to him, he's going to lose his ward. Because we're going to win it.
Thank you. All right, we're going to come to the panel for the responses, Imtiaz. Let's hear the responses. Thank you. Let's respect each other and let's listen to what the panelists have got to say. Thank you. Ma'am, please. Let's have respect for each other. Thank you. I'm going to be very, very insistent now. We're coming to the end of the program. Let's listen to the responses with respect. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Apology accepted. Now, we're almost done. Right. Let's be mature South Africans. Yes.
you're an intellect, and well done on asking a very hard question. Well done on asking a very hard question, but I'd like you firstly to pose that to your current councillors and ask them whether they actually know that. 1 second. No, hold on. And then you've got your party leader here. So just to answer you very quickly, there's a Municipal Finance Management Act, and there are 5 subcommittees. Does that answer your question for you? Why? Because there's Google. Google tells you everything. Now here's the difference. Ultimately, we're a new party. Let's not be mistaken by us being a small party. We're a new party that's passionate. And ultimately, when it comes down to us learning things, we will learn it. Why? To answer people like you. This is a circus, and these are the clowns that we have here currently. We want to bring change to it, and that's why we're here. So to answer the second question.
Thank you.
To answer my second question.
Go for it.
Which we firmly believe, and obviously it's been postured like that.
Thank you. Let's
so
give
that
an
we get an
opportunity.
opportunity to answer. Our own candidate asked us a question. Why? Because we are accountable to our constituency. It's very simple for us. Being organized and being committed to our people. Number one, we've had councillors here for past 27 years. None of them had approached us, and I'll be very quite honest, and Zain would bear my witness. When Chris Pappas came in as the councillor in my ward, Ward 31, we invited him to my office, and we tabled for my area a 158 million rand budget for 5 years, which he did not take to us. We approached him and we said, work with us, try with us. We like you. You can deliver. We like you. He didn't want to. Why? Because councillors have their parties to answer to, and they want to be gatekeepers of it. Start learning to join your community. Get into your CPS. Stop leading. Stop trying to lead people. You are not leaders. You're a councillor. Learn to start listening. Open your ears. Organize your community. And that's what we're here to do.
Thank you. All right, thank you. And if there was a question there about Ward 69.
Yeah, there was a gentleman from Ward 69, and he's
All right, thank you.
His main complaint was that the ANC was in the ward before, and now it's the DA, and nothing's happening. If the ANC was so good, they wouldn't have lost that ward. We're certainly getting much more done in that ward than what the ANC ever got done forever. Because if that were the case, then people would have voted for the ANC. You don't have to agree with me. I'm giving you the answer. You must listen. I was listening to you when you gave the question.
All right, we move on to
there's the other gentleman who talked about Ward 23, and I think you asked the question about how do we choose our candidates. And that process takes us an entire year. And we conduct as rigorous interviews as possible to try. Just hang on a second, guys. I mean, we're not going to learn anything from each other if we don't listen to each other, please. And that we do our very, very best to choose the very best people for the job. And we'll do the same in municipalities too. But when you're dealing with human beings, and as thousands of candidates as the DA got, we do get it wrong sometimes. But when we do get it wrong, we make sure that we don't put those candidates back. And that's why in Ward 23, that guy is not back again, and we've got a new candidate. And we learn through that process, and we're not stubborn in that if we find mistakes along the way and our guys don't do a good enough job, we want to replace it. That's why we've got a monthly performance management system in the DA for every single DA councillor. And if the public is not happy with the performance of the DA councillor, please tell us so we can fix it. In Ward 23, we fixed it.
Thank you. Let's listen to him. Let's give him a chance. Let's be respectful. Thank you. Carry on. Are you done, Arif?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to speak to somebody and then they're shouting at you, and then I don't know whether I must keep quiet or whether listen to her shouting at me. So you ask the question, I'm trying to give you an answer.
All right,
how
okay.
these things work.
No, come on, guys.
You don't have to agree
respectful.
with the answer. You don't have to agree with the answer, but if you're going to shout at me the way you are, then you're never going to hear the answer that you asked me the question for. And that's how these things work in life. You ask a question, I give the answer. You listen, I speak.
All right.
And the other way around.
Are you done with your answer?
And the size of the DA, if you consider this, is, I mean, there's only two political parties that run cities all over South Africa. The ANC, who messes things up, and us, who gets things done. And through those... You see, people don't like it when you tell them the facts. I mean,
Let's move on now.
So,
Thank you.
Where we find councillors and where we are not performing as well as we should, we want to take corrective action. I mean, the lady earlier complained that she wasn't getting the kind of service that she wanted from a councillor. I promise you, when we're done here, I'm going to speak to her. How can we make it better? That's what your politicians should be doing.
All right.
Is listen to people. When you say we're not doing a good enough job, tell us where it is so that we can make it better. And we're committed to doing that. But thank you very much. We'll make it better if you get behind us, and we'll build this country better than you want it.
You have any, was there a question for you, or you have any comment?
There wasn't a question, there was a statement. The gentleman from UIM said that I wasn't a councillor. I was a councillor. I resigned last year in October. Bradley, don't tell people your lies. We don't want to hear it. He also said that I was never in Phoenix. In the last year, I distributed on my own, without party support, over 334 hampers to individuals in that community. So it's obvious you don't know your facts. You said you're going to take Ward 48. We haven't seen your candidates' posters on the area. Nobody knows who's your candidate in your ward. So if you think that people are going to vote for a poster, you're even more confused than I thought you were.
All right, thank you. ANC?
There wasn't really a question for me, but I just have to respond to this.
The junk status.
Firstly, I must applaud the lady there who I'm not sure if it was a question or she was just making a point, but it was a very good point. That really, this is how people in Phoenix were treated by the DA. That's what they always know, that the Indian community in Phoenix will always vote for the DA. And that's why they've never changed one of their candidates. And that process of vigorous entire year and the very best people apply for the job. Well, you apply to be a councillor in the DA, and do you know that there's not a single candidate that was changed in the DA list? Every single candidate in every single ward is the same candidate. All of Chatsworth, all of Phoenix. I live in Chatsworth. Every one of those councillors in Chatsworth was a no-show for 5 years. For 5 years, a no-show. They have not delivered. And to come here and say that there was more done in 2016 to 2021 than 2011 to 2016, really? The councillor wanted the books from me and he never got it, and I guess that's why he was never able to deliver in that 5 years. But the reality is, and let's be honest about this, the DA councillors who are running those wards in Phoenix and Chatsworth and other areas have not delivered. And they will not deliver. They will not deliver because they are not the majority in the municipality.
All right.
And they will not deliver.
Okay, thank you. Right, that brings us to the end of this round. You've heard the questions, you've heard the answers. You can be the judge in terms of the level of solutions they're offering or not offering. But I'll hand it back now to Mr. Yunus Sakur of Ansar, Radio Ansar. He's going to ask the party representatives for their concluding remarks and also surmise what they've said and perhaps more importantly what they've not said.
Shukran, Mullah Suleiman. I think you've done a wonderful job so far. Thank you to the audience for some enlightening questions, comments, and participating in this debate. Much appreciated. I'm not doing the vote of thanks yet, but I thank you. I think those questions were very, sort of enlightening, searching, and it gave our political reps an opportunity to respond. Before I sort of ask our politicians and political reps to give us their concluding comments, a few observations. This has been a nice and robust debate. Lots of fun also. People were attacking each other. Some representatives have been emotional because you feel strongly about your views and sensitive to issues on the ground, particularly due to the unrest that took place. It was quite traumatic for many of us in KZN. Maulana, we were in Al-Ansar part of the food nourishment and food security drive, and we know what it felt for people not to have bread and milk for a week. And we had to go to the different areas and supply thousands of loaves of bread and milk during the unrest. People had money, but they couldn't buy bread and milk. So it was a difficult situation. And we thank the communities out there, and some of them articulated their views. And Imtiaz said, and his team knows what it was to deal with the unrest. leaders emerge when there's a calamity and a difficulty, and that's when, we determined who our real leaders were during that period. We know that, in the last 3 elections, the ANC were victorious. Percentages have varied from 56 or 58% to a slender just over 50% in the last elections. The polls that indicate eThekwini and Msunduzi may be highly contested this election. My message is that whichever party wins the election, will control the municipality, as Brandon said, It's inevitable. And as my friend Mr. Kennedy mentioned, that they will control the budget. Now, the message to the ANC, if they do win this election, which many, many experts predict, if you are successful in retaining a eThekwini municipality in Msunduzi, you need to catch a wake-up call and improve service delivery. Now, I'm talking as an ex-official of the municipality where I've confirmed that there's a huge decline in service delivery, and for various reasons we cannot raise it here. And the ANC will have to deal decisively with corruption and maladministration and hold politicians and officials accountable for lack of service delivery. So they need to basically have those performance agreements in place so that officials are held to account, because that is one of the major problems in these municipalities and indeed other municipalities throughout the country. They need to ensure that more than 38% of our people are unemployed, and that's becoming progressively worse. And this is because of basically corruption and maladministration, and the right people are not being employed. So you need to allocate your budgets and service delivery in a manner which will ensure that people on the ground benefit. Important is, and I think the message has come from many people on the ground, including opposition politicians, that we're going to do away with cadre deployment and appoint service providers and employees on merit. It's essential so that you get quality service delivery. And that is a cry and the call from all our communities throughout the country. I want to take this opportunity of thanking all the participants and ensuring that you make the correct choice when voting. So before we do that, I would like to start with Imtiaz Sayed to make your concluding comments. You've got 1 minute to do so because we're running out of time. We've got 10 minutes to wrap up. Imtiaz?
Jazakallah for that, Yunus. To open up, I'm not going to capitalize or be a populist based on our movements in the insurrection or the attempted insurrection. That's something that you need to go look at it in our platform that we've had to deal with that. The issue we face in the current trajectory of our activism is faced with criticism, unfortunately, by many parties and party gatekeepers, so to speak. However, we'd like to state quite clearly, if we are being judged by the limitations of your capacity, then you need to have some introspection there. We're not limited by other people's idea of what activism means. Our space of activism is developed through our intentions and what we believe. So we're not going to be judged by anybody in saying that you can't do this and you can't. No, we're not limited. We don't have that limitation. So national parties sit here at local government where services to the people are ultimately delivered. The real services, the things that you need. The school, outside your school, that pavement where your children walk needs to be cleaned. That's where it's delivered. It's delivered here, not nationally or provincially. And this is where we are. We want to get that part right. And if we can't get that part right, then in fact, what are we doing? We can sit here. And I'll tell you right now, we're going into a circus. We know what we're doing. Ultimately, it is a circus. But when we get there, we'll deal with it.
Thank you, Imtiaz. Hanif Hassan, your posters throughout the municipality areas has got "Let's get things done." Will you be able to get things done in the forthcoming elections?
On, please. May I say this? The way local government works is that if your city is not working, government in charge has obviously not done a good enough job. And so if citizens want to change that in eThekwini, there's only one way to change that, is to replace it with a party that has the power to be able to make that difference. When you start splitting your votes when the ANC is at its weakest ever to remove that party who's messing it up, and you start throwing your support behind newer parties and newcomers, then actually what you do is you strengthen the ruling party from holding a further grip on power. And that's why it's important in this election there is one great opportunity in this election. You're never going to get it again. To take the ANC out of power, every single person who wants a better future in eThekwini, get behind the DA, because only the DA is big enough to take the ANC out.
Thank you, Hanif. Jonathan, in your posters, your leader mentioned, trust us. What difference can you make in eThekwini and in Msunduzi? And what's your concluding comments?
Like I said in my opening remarks, this election is not about potholes and tree felling and grass cutting. This election is really about securing and protecting our constitutional democracy. And you can only do that by putting your vote, which is your trust, into a political party with leaders who have not been tainted, with leaders who have not had any indictment brought against them, with leaders who serve their constituents with diligence and with integrity. You're not going to get that with the DA. You're not going to get that with the ANC. You're not going to get that with other political parties. But you will get that with the IFP, because that is our legacy, that is our heritage. And in addition, you certainly will not get it if you have Bradley Singh in that party.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan. Brandon, your president mentioned in his poster that we must work together with the communities and improve service delivery. The ANC has been ruling most municipalities throughout the country for 3 elections, and I mentioned there's a decline. How do you think that the ANC is going to improve service delivery with all the communities?
The choice is clear. The ANC has the power to govern, and minorities cannot break with the ANC. The opposition can only shout. It's the ANC that is the only party that can reach across the divide of race, class, ethnicity, and faith to give you, the voter, the whole package. The reality is that the ANC has the power to be an effective government. No other party can match the might and capacity of a unity. We are using...
Say a few words before I do the vote of thanks, okay.
We are uniting the ANC. We will unite the country. That is our historic mission. Be smart. Choose the ANC. Your vote is lost with anyone else. Have the courage to work with the ANC to build better communities together.
Thank you, Brandon. Before I do the vote of thanks, Mullah Suleiman Rawat will want to give one final message and I'll do the vote of thanks.
Well, firstly, thank you to Radio Ansar, to IFM, to Voice of the Cape, and to ITV for partnering and jointly hosting this and carrying this feed. And to all of you here in attendance, and to the panelists for your time. I'm sure you must be very tired. It's been a rigorous campaigning and preparation process. And from Radio Islam's side and from my side, I wish you all the best. I just want to make one request to everyone. I mean, we've got such a beautiful country with so much of talent and so much of potential, so much of promise. People are disillusioned. And I fear to say this to the point of despondent. And I say we should not difficult. It's difficult to tell people not to be despondent after what we've been through, especially in recent months. And if you look at the state of this country, I come to you from Lenasia this morning. We didn't have water for 2 straight days last week. Today, no electricity for 3 days and counting. Why? Because someone stole a bolt that cost $150 and the pylon collapsed. And it's going to take days for them to repair. And it's not the first time that it's happened. People are getting frustrated. People are losing hope in this beautiful country of ours that has so much of promise. It's up to you now to put the country first. Leave the petty politicking. Leave your personal aspirations. Leave the greed and the avarice and financial. Let's put this country first for all of us that live in it. Otherwise, the generations that will come will judge us very harshly. We look with admiration at those who have left us. Let us start to think about how those who will succeed us will look upon us, all of us, collectively. May the Almighty be with all of you and all of the best.
Shukran, Maulana Suleiman Rawat. Just one concluding comment. I think on behalf of Radio Islam International and Radio Al Ansar International, we once again would like to thank the panelists and wish them and their candidates best of luck in the forthcoming elections. To the listeners of the various radio stations and ITV, we hope this debate steers you towards making the informed decision on the 1st November 2021 elections. Further, we express our gratitude to the host of this particular NMJ Islamic Center for accommodating us at short notice, and as well